Hello everyone, it's nice to meet you again. In this video, we are going to discuss Probability and Statistics 1 taken from paper 5-2 October-November 2022. Question 1. On any day, Kino travels to school by bus, by car or on foot with probabilities 0.2, 0.1, and 0.7 respectively. The probability that he is late when he travels by bus is X. The probability that he is late when he travels by car is 2X, and the probability that he is late when he travels on foot is 0.25. The probability that on randomly chosen day Kino is late is 0.235. Find the value of X. So this is the diagram for all the probabilities. So there are three means of transportation. Kino travel to school either by bus with probability 0.2, car 0.1, or on foot with probability 0.7. And then when he travels by bus, the probability that he is late is X. So the probability that he is not late is 1 minus X. While when he travel by car, the probability that he is late is 2X. So not late will be 1 minus 2X. While on foot, the probability that Kino late is 0.25, and the probability that he is not late is 0.75. And then from the question, we know that the probability that Kino late is 0.235. So the probability that Kino late can be 0.2 by bus and then late, so 0.2 times X plus 0.1 times 2X, and the last 0.7 times 0.25. So we total it and equate with 0.235. So we have this equation, and solving that equation, we can find that the value of X is 0.15. Part B. Find the probability that on randomly chosen day, Kino travels to school by car, given that he is not late. Now, we complete the tree diagram with the value of X. The value of X is 0.15, replacing the value of X with 0.15. This is the new tree diagram for the probabilities. The probability that Kino travels to school by car, given that he is not late, the formula is probability travels by car and not late divided by probability not late. Probability that Kino travels by car and not late is 0.1 times 0.7, while probability that Kino is not late is 1 minus probability late. Probability late has been given from the question. So the answer will be 0.0915. Question 2. The length of the rod produced by a company are normally distributed with mean 55.6 mm and standard deviation 1.2 mm. In a random sample of 400 of these rods, how many would you expect to have length less than 54.8 mm? So we need to find the probability that the rod has length less than 54.8. First, X is normally distributed with mean 55.6 mm and standard deviation 1.2 mm. So we write this way. Bx less than 54.8, we change X into Z value using formula X minus 55.6 divided by 1.2. X minus mu divided by sigma. That's the formula. So it will be probability Z less than negative 0.667. This diagram represent this small area represent this probability. But since we don't have, in our table we don't have negative value for Z, we need to flip the diagram into this one. And the small region here can be found using 1 minus probability Z less than 0.667. Using the table, it will be 1 minus 0.7477. It's equal to 0.2523. So since we know the probability, to find the number of rods, we just multiply 400, the total number of the rods, with the probability. So the answer will be, after we round it off, the answer is 101 rods. Part B. Find the probability that a randomly chosen rod produced by this company has a length that is within half a standard deviation of the mean. So this statement can be written mathematically as this one. So X, the interval values of X is from mu minus 0.5 sigma until mu plus 0.5 sigma. And then we change the value of X into value of Z using the same formula, X minus mu divided by sigma. So mu minus 0.5 sigma minus mu divided by sigma. Do the same thing with the other one. It's here using the same formula. After we simplify, it will be probability negative 0.5 less than Z less than 0.5. So this shaded area. The shaded area can be found using probability Z less than 0.5, this part, minus probability Z less than negative 0.5, the unshaded one. And then this probability is almost using the same method as part A. It can be written as 1 minus probability Z less than 0.5. So it will be 2 phi 0.5 minus 1. So using table, it will be 2 times 0.6915 minus 1. The answer is 0.383. Question 3. 3 fair 6-sided dice, each with faces marked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, are thrown at the same time repeatedly. The score on each throw is the sum of the numbers on the uppermost faces. Part A. Find the probability that a score of 17 or more is first obtained on the 6th throw. So for this question, first we need to find the probability that the score is 17 or more. There are 3 scenarios that the sum of the score is 17. They are 6, 6, 5 or 656 or 566. That's why I multiply probability 665 by 3, since each probability have the same value. And then more than 17, we have only one possibility. More than 17 can only be 18. So the maximum is 18. Probability 18 is that all the dice show 6. So probability 666. And then probability 665, each value in the dice have the same or uniform probability, which is 1/6. So this one is 3 times 1/6 times 1/6 times 1/6. And then this one also the same, 1/6 times 1/6 times 1/6. The answer is 1/54. And then this is the case of geometric distribution. Remember, the characteristic of the geometric distribution is that we repeat the experiment until we obtain the first success. You can read this one. The first success is on the 6th row. The success event here is that we get the sum of 17 or more. The probability we have found it before, 1/54. So probability x equals 6 means that the first 5 throws we don't get the sum 17 or more. So this is a probability of failure 1 minus probability of success. Since we fail 5 times, we raise it to power of 5. So 53 over 54 to the power of 5 times on the 6th row it's success. So 1 times 1/54. The answer will be 0.0169. Part B. Find the probability that the score of 17 or more is obtained in fewer than 8 throws. So this one still geometric distribution with probability of success remain the same, 1/54. But now we are going to find the probability that the first success is or occurred in less than 8 throws. So we write probability x less than x, probability x less than 8 is equal to probability x equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 7. So probability success is on the first throw, so 1/54. On the second throw, so fail 1 time and then success. Probability success on the third throw, there are 2 failures, and then on the third is success, up to this one. After we use calculator and we total all of them, we get 0.123. But since for this case, using this method, the risk of making error is very high because we need to do like 7 calculation here. So for this case, I recommend you to use the second alternative. So probability x less than 8 is equal to 1 minus probability x greater than 7. We know the shortcut formula for probability x less than 7, greater than 7. It is q to the power of 7. the shortcut formula is for geometric distribution, probability x greater than r is equal to q to the power of r. This is the shortcut. But remember 1 minus this one, 53 over 54 to the power of 7. We get the same answer as before, which is the answer is 0.123. Now we move on to question number 4. The time taken in minutes to complete a word processing task by 200 employees at a particular company are summarized in this table. A. Draw a histogram to represent this information. To draw histogram, we need to find frequency density as the vertical axis. To find the frequency density, we need to find the class width. Class width for the first class is 20 minus 0. And then for the second class, since there is no gap between this and this one, so for the second class, the class width is 40 minus 20. You can see the class width for the other class using the same method. And then to find the frequency density, it's very easy. You just divide the frequency by the class width. So the frequency density for the first class is 32 divided by 20. It's equal to 1.6. For the second class, 46 divided by 20. The answer is 2.3. You can see the frequency density of all classes on this table. And then now we are ready to draw the histogram. So the horizontal axis, we use the time taken in minutes. The smallest value of t is 0 until 100. Then remember, for the vertical axis, we are using frequency density, which we have calculated before. So now for the first class from 0 until 20, this is the rectangle. So the t is from 0 until 20, and the height is the frequency density 1.6. Same thing, we draw the rectangle for the second class using this frequency density, and so on until we draw the last rectangle from 60 to 100, which is very short compared with the other classes. So students, this is the complete histogram. Now we continue to part B. For part B, the question asks to calculate the estimate for the standard deviation of these times. But we are given information about the mean already. Actually, to find standard deviation, we need to find the variance. For the variance, we need to find the mean. But in this case, we don't need to find the mean because the information for the mean has been given from the question. And then the formula for variance is sigma t squared times f divided by sigma f minus the mean time squared. And then what about the t here? if the data is presented in the frequency table like this one, the T for each class is the mid value of that class. For example, for the first class, it is 20 plus 0 divided by 2, which is 10. The second class, 20 plus 40 divided by 2. And then the third class is 40 plus 50 divided by 2 is equal to 45. You can do to the other classes. And then we use this formula to find the variance. So 10 squared times 32 plus 30 squared times 46 up to 80 squared times 24 divided by the sigma f, the total data. The total data is 250 employees. So divide by 250 and then minus the mean time taken by the employees, which is 43.2 square. So the variance is 8,334 over 25. And don't forget to find standard deviation, you just take the square root value of the variance. The answer will be 18.3 minutes. Question 5. Eric has 3 coins. One of the coins is fair. The other 2 coins are each biased so that the probability of obtaining a head on any throw is 1/4 independently of all other throws. Eric throws all 3 coins at the same time. Events A and B are defined as follows. So event A is all the 3 coins show the same result, while event B, at least one of the biased coins shows a head. So show that probability B is 7 over 17. So probability B is the event that at least one of the coin show a head. It can be found using complement. It's 1 minus the complement. The complement of at least one of the biased coins show a head is that both biased coins show tails. So tail and tail. So this is the complement of event B. 1 minus the complement. So it's 1 minus both biased coins show tail. From the question, we know that the biased coin show head is 1/4. So the probability that the biased coin show tail is 3/4. So 3/4 times 3/4 because both of them show tail. So probability B is 1 minus 9 over 17. It's 7 over 16. Sorry, this is not 17, it's 16. And then part B, find probability A given B. Remember that probability A is that all the 3 coins show the same result, and B is the event that at least one of the biased coins show a head. So probability A given B, the formula is probability A and B divided by probability B. Probability B has been found before. It's 7 over 16. While probability A, same result, can be all head or all tail. And then probability B, at least one of the coins show head. So the intersection between A and B, or probability A and B, is that probability all coins show head. So probability all coins show head, this is the fair coin, half. And then the bias coin, the probability show head is 1/4. And the other bias coin also the same, 1/4. So probability all coins show head is half times 1/4 times 1/4. And don't forget to divide by probability B, which is 7/16. The final answer will be 1/4. And then the next one, the random variable X is the number of heads obtained when Eric throws the 3 coins. Part C, draw up the probability distribution table for X. So there are some possible values for X. The first one, probability X equals 0 means, since X is the number of head, probability X equals 0 means that there is no head, or in other words, the 3 coins show tails. So probability tail, tail, tail. Remember that the first coin is fair, and then the other 2 coins bias. So tail half times 3/4 times 3/4, the answer is 9/32. What about probability X equals 1? Probability X equals 1 means that only one of the 3 coins show head. So they can be tail, tail, head, or tail, head, tail, or head, tail, tail. Probability tail, tail, head, and tail, head, tail have the same values because these 2 are the bias coin, while the first coin is the fair coin. Both of them has value half times 3/4 times 1/4. Because they have the same value, so we multiply by 2 to make it short. And then the last one have different value. The fair coin head, and then the other 2 bias coin show tails. So the probability is half times 3/4 times 3/4. So the answer will be 15/32. And then probability X equals 2 tail, head, 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 tail, head, 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 tail. This time these 2 probabilities have the same values, which is half times 3/4 times 1/4, then multiply by 2. Probability X equals 2 is 7/32. And then probability X equals 3. X equals 3 is the event that all coins show head. Probability head, head, head. It's half times 1/4 times 1/4. It's equal to 1/32. And then we can draw the probability distribution table. You can see this is the complete probability distribution table according to our findings. So students, now we continue to question number 6. At a company's call center, 90% of callers are connected immediately to a representative. A random sample of 12 callers is chosen. Part A. Find the probability that fewer than 10 of these callers are connected immediately. So since we have a fixed random sample, 12, X follow binomial distribution with 12 independent trials, and the probability of success is 0.9 because 90% of callers are connected immediately to a representative. And then the question asks to find the probability that fewer than 10 of these callers are connected immediately. So probability X less than 10. We can use complement because it is easier. We can write 1 minus the complement. The complement is X greater than or equal to 10. So 1 minus probability X equals 10, 11, and 12. And then we use formula for binomial probability X equals R. It's NCR times probability to the power of R, probability of success to the power of R, times Q to the power of N minus R. So when R is 10, the probability will be 12 choose 10 times 0.9 to the power of 10 times 0.1 is the value of Q square, and then P11, 12 choose 11 times 0.9 to the power of 11 times 0.1 to the power of 1, and then plus 0.9 to the power of 12. The answer is 0.111. And then a random sample of 80 callers is chosen. B. Use an approximation to find the probability that more than 69 of these callers are connected immediately. So for this one, still X follow the binomial distribution, but the number of N, the number of random sample is quite big, 80, and the probability of success still 0.9. To use approximation, we need to change the parameter in binomial distribution into parameter in normal distribution. To find mu, we can use formula N times P. So 0.8 times 80 times 0.9, which is 72. And then another parameter in normal distribution is the variance. The variance can be found using formula N times P times Q. It's equal to 80 times 0.9 times 0.1. It's equal to 7.2. So now we can use normal distribution to approximate the binomial distribution. The mu is 72 and the variance is 7.2. And then the question asks to find probability X greater than 69. So this is the diagram. Since we don't have equal sign here, the rectangle for 69 is not included, so we don't shade the rectangle. So the shaded area only this one. So instead of using this one is 69, instead of using 69, because in using approximation we have to do the correction. Instead of using 69, we are using 69.5 for this case, because the rectangle is not included. So the value of z is 69.5 minus 72 divided by square root of 7.2. So probability z greater than negative 0.932. It's the same as when we flip the diagram, become probability z less than 0.932. The answer by using table is 0.8243. And then the last part of this question, justify the use of the approximation in part B. So we know that x follow binomial distribution with n 80 and p 0.9. In order for the approximation to be valid, we need to show that both n times p and n times q are greater than 5. Here n times p is 80 times 0.9. The value is 72, it's greater than 5. And nq is 80 times 0.1, which is 8. So it's also greater than 5. So the approximation is valid since both np and nq are greater than 5. So this is the last question on this paper, question 7. Part A. Find the number of different arrangement of the 9 letters in the word alligator, in which the 2 A's are together and the 2 L's are together. So, word alligator has 2 A's, 2 L, and I, G, T, O, R, 1 letter respectively. So the number of different arrangement, the approach that we use is that we consider that the 2A as one component and the 2L also one component. So all together, considering the 2A's and the 2L as one component, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 components. So the number of arrangement of the 7 components is 7 factorials. And then the number of arrangement of the 2A, since we cannot distinguish the A, they are identical, so 2 factorials divided by 2 factorials. And also the 2L is 2 factorials divided by 2 factorials. So actually the number of arrangement only 7 factorials. The number of arrangement under this condition is 5040. And then part B, the 9 letters in the word alligator are arranged in a random order. Find the probability that the 2 L's are together and there are exactly 6 letters between the 2 A's. So since this is probability, we need to find the sample space first, the number of arrangement of these 9 letters without any condition, without any restriction. So it's 9 factorials divided by, since we have 2 identical A's, divided by 2 factorials and 2 factorials, because we have 2L also. So the total arrangement is 90,720. And then the number of arrangement when 2L are together and there are exactly 6 letters between the 2 A's. Now if the 2L are not in between A's, then we have only 5 letters available. So in that case, we have to put the 2L in between the 2 A's, something like this one. Since if the the 2 L's are not in between the A's, then not enough letters in between the 2 A's, because we need 6 letters in between A. So now the number of arrangement here, for example, For example, this is the letter outside is R. So the number of arrangement for this letter in between the two A's is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 factorials. Why I need to multiply by 5? Because the letters outside can also be either R or the other letter can be yes, can be G, O, can be G, T, O. So we have 5 options for the letter outside this at the end. So I need to multiply by 5. But this letter, the position of this letter can also be here in this end. So the same number of arrangement. So the total of arrangement is 1200. So the probability is 1200 divided by the sample space, 90,720. The answer is 5/378. And then the last part, for part C, find the number of different selections of 5 letters from 9 letters in the word alligator, which contain at least one A and at most one L. So there are some scenarios here. The first, we have one A and no L. One A, no L, so we have to pick 4 from these 5 letters. Remember, this one has no L. So we pick 4 letters from this. The number of selection that can be made is 5 choose 4. 5 because we have 5 letters available. The second scenario is that we pick 2A, 2 A's and still no L. It means that we need to pick 3 letters from these 5 letters. So the number of selection is 5 choose 3. The third scenario is 1L, 1A, 1L. So we need to pick 3 letters from this one. And the last scenario is 2 A's and 1 L. Remember, the number of L is at most 1. So we need to pick 2 more letters from this. The number of selection is 5 choose 2. And then we just need to total all of them. The answer will be 35. Okay, students, I think that's the end of our discussion. I hope after watching this video, you have a better understanding and more experience in how to deal with questions that usually appear in this paper. And I wish you good luck for your Cambridge exam. Thank you for watching this video and see you next time. Bye.